thank you for everybody for joining us today for Stormwater Awareness Week. This is the Flash Flood Safety in Rural Hawaii Communities. Jade from Hawaii Rural Water Association is presenting for us today. So Jade, if you'd like to introduce yourself, we can go ahead and get started.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon. Aloha, my name is Jade. Um, I'm a source water protection specialist with Hawaii Rural Water Association. I get to talk about flash flood safety. And growing up, it's just something that being born and raised here, you're taught and you're told things. And then now in my professional career, I get to um, share that with people from across the nation. So I'm so thankful to be here. Grateful to, be invited to present. I'll continue just a little bit about myself. On the left here, this is my family. We play in the rivers, all kinds of rivers and streams, and we just get to, enjoy the beauty of our place safely. And it's we're lucky to be able to share that with our visitors and with our families and with our friends. But along the same cloth, we have to, do it safely and share that. And it feels like a responsibility on myself to give a perspective that is aside from comes from the community and comes from my personal experience on a personal level with people who come to visit that um, it's so fun and so beautiful to be here. But at the same time, we have to come correct and come with a really good understanding of the environmental precautions and environmental safety so that we can enjoy it safely and, not go home with a really sad story. Um, I'm born and raised on the island of Maui. I'm not sure if you guys can see my cursor, but right out here on the west side of Maui. And currently I'm living in rural on the Hawaiʻi Island, which is right over here in this area. And this is me in the stream, living my life and having fun. And I hope that, you all have a chance to experience that inner child playfulness and the beauty of a stream, whether you're here in Hawaii or if you're either where you are enjoying your streams. Um, So what is flash flooding? A lot of you may or may not know. It's a rapid and extreme flow of high water in a normally dry area or a rapid water level rise in a stream or creek above a predetermined flood level beginning within 6 hours of the causative event. This is not always the case. There are certain signs that you can predict or that may deem the area unsafe within 6 hours, but sometimes you really just can't know. Um, and it just happens. And this is one of the things where as locals we really feel for um people who get caught in a um really sad situation and a scary situation because we know that we can sympathize with this is something that it can just happen if you don't know the signs and you're just caught in a really bad place. This next slide is going to play a video. Oh, well, these are some of the signs, sorry. Um, if you're looking at the mountains and they're pretty cloudy, um, whether they're dark or it's just a heavy cloud cover over the mountains, that's where the water is probably likely going to come from, and you're downstream. The river will probably be pretty rough. If it's raining, that's a really obvious sign that we probably shouldn't go to the river. Or if you get there and the water is muddy, it's another sign that, maybe you should be aware for a flash flood and it's maybe just not worth it. There's other things that we can go and enjoy. Um, and then just kind of paying attention to when you arrive there, if you start see the water moving a little bit faster or just there's more volume there, probably, best to get to higher ground and maybe go try to do something else. And then the key thing, this is the most important thing that I was taught growing up, is to listen. If you hear thunder-like sounds, those are moving boulders coming down the stream. And that is the immediate alarm to get the heck out of the river and get to higher ground. But yeah, the thunder-like sounds is not thunder. It's the water coming. This is a video of somebody's blog, a visitor's blog, and they caught an entire escape, a narrow escape on video. And oh, sorry about that. So I'll kind of just narrate. They're just enjoying their time. And I'd like you to observe this area right here. Not a safe place to be. Yep, keep observing this area right here. This can kind of help you see how fast and quickly things can turn south. And he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to get to higher ground and get to safety. But in this case, the best escape route would to be to jump off and let the water get you to a bank, a river bank. There's a lot in this video that can be taken that, could have prevented these guys from being in harm's way. But it's pretty amazing to see how quickly things can change. So notice the color of the water, the volume and speed increase, and it is just real bad. You kind of look in this area above right here, you can see the vegetation along the bank that has been pushed down previously. So if, you're here and you see that this place can flood and has previously flooded recently with this vegetation pushed down from the water already, that's already a sign that it's not a safe place to be. There's the pushed down vegetation, and this is the marking of the safest place you can be. Because if it's already been pushed down, it's one way you can read the environment. I think they just threw their stuff across, desperate.
Jade, we have a question here from Dan.
Sure.
What are the current strategies in place to educate tourists about flash flood risks, especially
Right.
in rural and remote areas of Hawaii?
Yep. Right now, there are like signs posted by the state, some sort of visitor information that are at the hotels. Um, and it's one of those things where if you're in these rural communities, um, they have they're kind of it's up to the community who are working in closely with the visitors to share awareness. Also, it's up to the discretion of the tour guides if people are taking people on tours. It's happened where um, people go on tours and they get caught in a flash flood, and it's leaves the liability to the tour operator. Um, but it's in the hotels and some sort of visitor information, but we can't just leave it up to one industry, you know. Yeah, they're struggling. I think this is the person who's operating the drone. Yep. Yep. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I, I'm not upset at these people, but I feel really bad for them, and it could have turned really, really bad for their families and if they got kids, you know. And then this next one is even faster.
Okay, this is Starbucks.
So you see it, it's right up here. The
We're
water's
almost
blue.
stuck in this flash flood down here. That's not like top. It would have to find up here. But we safe? What would we have done? Died? No, I'm fucking swam with her and climbed up those rocks. Or go over here and climb as high as we could. You never seen a flash flood out here? Ever. Look how fast that just filled up, dude. Wow. So I'm glad Darren heard it and then saw them yelling.
Are there any questions right now after uh those two videos?
I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, this is Starbucks.
And so both of these places that in those videos are extremely remote and they are located in ex like really rural communities. So, you know, sometimes you don't even have cellular service. You don't have access to immediate medical care. You have to find a local person's house who are already used to probably calling for help to get airlifted, and if not a search happening. This article was just a few days ago or like last week. I think it was like a 3-day search um for somebody unfortunately who was from a cruise ship, and they went exploring at a state park, and it was not safe. Like this place that they're swimming at is has all kinds of signs posted, um, you know, swimming at your own risk, and it was really rainy and rough. And they ended up finding their body. Unfortunately, they didn't make it. Um, Woman who lost husband and their friend in a flash flood as a visitor education. This was within 2 weeks, and that was at that same place that the last video that we watched where it just kind of poured in. That place is really scary. And I feel really bad for these people, but you get swept out, and between the high surf and that mixing and churning of the strong river water, um, and unfamiliarity with your environment, it's really not safe. Even our firefighters get get stuck. A couple years ago, a firefighter got swept in a storm drain, and it was really sad. So water is extremely powerful, and we have to really be aware and be able to read it properly. Some more tips. Pay attention and tune into the local weather news. They'll have like flash flood warnings and watches. Uh, if you see flooding in the roadways, I think the measurement was that every 6 inches of water could just sweep you off your feet, and 2 feet of water can lift your car. So just do the safest thing and just turn around, don't drown. And I know like people have got to get to the airport, scenarios where people have to get places, but there's always a safer route, and you'll never be able to get to the place that you need to go if you're swept out to sea, and then people have to come look for you. Next is following posted community signage, and that's a variety of things. It could be formal, metal, beautiful crafted signs with all of this information and beautifully articulated place-based information. Sometimes it's just people who live there that have plywood and paint that are saying do not trespass, high waters. So it's best practices to, if there's a sign posted from the community or from the state, it's best to follow that. And then, like I said earlier, reading the environment. If there's clouds in the mountains, if you're going to a river, you look at the mountains that is connected to that river and read it. What is it telling you? There's probably heavy water up there. If it's raining where you are, you probably won't even want to go swimming. And Hawaii is very diverse in its climate. There are like other places around the island that you could hopefully go to. And of course, if you are swimming at a river, pay attention. It's beautiful, it's fun, but you're gonna want to be aware and listen for any sort of thunder-like sounds.
We have a couple more questions here.
Sure.
How reliable is cell coverage in these areas of Hawaii? Are there any alternative ways to ensure tourists receive timely warnings? Are there warning messages that come via text or other notification?
Yes. So sometimes when they're either at their hotel or at these places, they are able to receive the flash flood warnings and watches and alerts that they get on their phone. Sometimes there's not even enough time for that. Like when there is a advisory or a watch, things that happen, they'll get the notification, but it can still seem clear outside. So it's almost contradictory of what they're seeing versus what they're receiving on their phone. And it's spotty in a lot of these places. Everywhere's different, of course, but sometimes there's absolutely no, it just says the SOS, and so they'll be able to, sometimes not. And sometimes their stuff gets swept with them and then they lose it. So I hope that is kind of helpful. It's really just happenstance.
Okay, yeah, awesome, thank you. And then there's another question here. How do the municipalities handle flash flooding? Are the city's stormwater management systems able to help reduce the severity of flooding?
Yes. We don't have any sort of catchment or stuff like that we have here, like where we store it, but there are like basins, and there are ways to that the municipalities do mitigate flooding, but sometimes our infrastructure just gets totally washed out, and it's just best to hunker up and um, just kind of wait for it to pass. We just had a hurricane um, this past maybe I think it was earlier this month, and we got hit pretty hard. The power goes out, and it's just best to prepare ourselves. Um, you keep your chainsaw sharp and got your generator full, and you stock up on your food and your water. Um, and it's better prepared than unprepared, and then you're just like really stuck.
Thank you. And then there's another one here. What measures did the state of Hawaii put in place for helping prevent post-fire flash flooding?
Mm-hmm. Post-fire flash flooding. So they put these. I know a couple of things that they do take. They take these, they fill these socks, they're called socks, and you fill them up with organic matter, and they kind of block the storm drains to, or be able to filter their storm drains so that they don't get clogged up. Um, they open up the shelter for people, they open up shelters if you're stuck. They think they also do certain measures to they put the police out to help direct traffic, um, stuff like that. They do an okay job. I think it's also helpful for people who are coming here to not rely solely on um, the state system, especially again if we're in a rural area. There's not much resources that are going to be out there, um, as well as there would be in a more populated area.
Awesome. Thank
Any other
you.
questions?
Those were all the questions I had for right now.
Okay. Some other safety resources. I really like checking this out during storms, or if there's, a big weather change happening. So, National Weather Service has a really good website. They have different places that you can look at, what you can do before, during, and after. Um, and I just kind of keep that tab open if there's a big weather event. This is our state flood awareness. They have Department of Transportation. They have like a Facebook notification alert, some other stuff. They have a map too. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, like it doesn't really load clearly on the map, but at least they'll have like a running banner here with the alerts, and some stuff like that. This is an example of community posted signs. It's just a wood palette and some paint. But that's kind of the best knowledge is people who live in the area and they're trying to keep you safe and keep the environment safe. Um, and it can be kind of a lot of information and kind of confusing, but again, community knowledge is always the best knowledge to me. They've lived here for generations and they have generational knowledge of weather patterns, and they have the best safety to me. This is my final slide, just some resources and where I got everything. This is some more of, instead of just like really rural and stuck in the rivers, this is kind of like what happens sometimes. This was, yeah, in May this past year. The weather was just incredible. There's flooding a bunch of cars, so everybody's trying to make it across. But we can kind of see like how, how hectic it can get. This was on the island of Oahu. Those other two videos were on Maui. So it can really happen anywhere you go. I think that's also why the summer months are more popular for visitors. But it can happen, the weather's changing. It can definitely flash flood in the summertime.
Awesome. Thank you. We have Another question here.
Sure.
Does flash flooding introduce contaminants to drinking water that the general public and
Abs
tourists should be aware of?
so yeah, there will be alerts. Sometimes it's all dependent on how bad the case is. All of our most, I'm not gonna say all, most, I would say 95% of our drinking water sources come from wells, so, and not surface water. So they're normally okay unless a well site is damaged or a part of the drinking water system is affected or impacted by the flash flood itself. Most times, because we get it from our groundwater, um, it's 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 okay. But if the power goes out and the generators are down to pump the drinking water, or but it's the water itself won't contaminate, doesn't always contaminate the drinking water.
Awesome. I have another question here. How often do these types of floods happen? Are they seasonal?
Yes. Um, it's dependent on on what community you're in. For example, in Maui, on the east side, it is like always going to happen every season. Certain bigger places, like in these kind of more municipal areas with the roads, and there's some better infrastructure. It's a little bit more open. This was way different. This was a huge event. And it's occurring more than normal. I would say like um once every couple years, but um again, with the weather patterns happening lately with our climate, it's becoming a little bit more frequent in different parts of our state. This was at
Awesome.
a mall right here where they had to shut down a mall.
We have another question.
Sure.
What post flash flood measures are done to stabilize flooded and damaged or compromised areas?
Yep. Yep. So the the evacuations happen. And then depending on your, if it's your home that's damaged, or, the roads or infrastructure, then the city and state will deploy their resources. And then if it's even worse, then we'll get the our military involved to assist in deploying resources out. Um, some people will have to stay at the shelter for a little bit until they can assess. Um, they'll clean out the vegetation and pump out the water as best as they can. Um, and it's a community effort as well as county, state, and federal government efforts too.
Awesome, thank you. And I have
Mhm.
another question here. When this affects people's homes, I would imagine the repairs would be extensive and take a long time to get back to normal. Are there enough contractors in the area to be able to handle this type of work?
That's a really great question. Um, as far as I know, like personally, I know there are maybe a handful of big, I would say reliable companies that can help you, clean up and dry your home, depending on the damage. Um, but as far as the rebuild process that happens, and repairs and remodels, there are like construction contractors that are there. But as far as like the immediate like flood and mitigation companies that are out there, I would say that there's definitely room for improvement in that industry.
Thank you. Thank you, Jade, for coming out and presenting. That was really great. Thank you, everybody else, for coming out to Stormwater Awareness Week. We still have a couple more presentations today, and we still have all day tomorrow. So thank you again, Jade, for sharing, and thank you, everybody else, for coming out to Stormwater Awareness Week.
Thank you, everyone. Mahalo. Be safe.